Hey everybody, this is a clip from the latest episode of the Randi Rhodes Show. If you want the full episode, you can watch live on Free Speech TV, Dish Channel 9415, DirecTV 348, Sling, Roku, and Apple TV.
Mary had a little red.
Turn up your mind.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Should Democrats move to pass coronavirus relief with 51 votes if they can't get Republican support, say, before the impeachment trial?
Well, I don't know what the word compromise means. I know that working families are living today in more economic desperation than since the Great Depression.
Yep.
And if Republicans are willing to work with us to address that crisis, welcome, let's do it. But what we cannot do is wait weeks and weeks and months to go forward. We have got to act now. That is what the American people want. Now, as you know, reconciliation, which is a Senate rule, was used by the Republicans under Trump to pass massive tax breaks for the rich and large corporations. It was used as an attempt to repeal the Affordable Care Act. And what we are saying is, you use it for that, that's fine. We're going to use reconciliation, that is 50 votes in the Senate plus the vice president, to pass legislation desperately needed by working families in this country right now. You did it, we're going to do it, but we're going to do it to protect ordinary people, not just the rich and the powerful.
So just so you know, the Republicans did pass that 2017 tax cut through the process known as budget reconciliation. So you're only supposed to use budget reconciliation one time per year. Why? Because you only get one budget per year. And it's budget reconciliation. You see? You see what I mean over there? They had two. They did a 2017 budget reconciliation bill, and then they did a 2018 budget reconciliation bill in 2017. This is the game Republicans play, and they do it to practice socialism. But it's reverse socialism. They take our money, working people's money, the taxes we pay for working, the privilege of working, and they redistribute it to the top 1%. We would like to use budget reconciliation and distribute the money back to where it actually gets into the hands of consumers in a consumer-driven economy. 70% of all gross domestic product, which is the total of everything that happens in America economically, 70% is due to consumers buying things. Doesn't it just make sense that we should have the money in our pockets to buy things, to spur this economy, to spur the growth? I say, yeah, I do. Okay? Schumer understands in principle, but you got to remember the Republicans are tricky little bastards, okay? And they made Democrats jump through so many hoops to get health care, to get the ACA, to get the stimulus package we needed when W drove the economy off the freaking cliff through deregulation of the banks and allowed us to lose our homes. Now remember, Kamala Harris worked on the California foreclosure crisis. And she was determined to make banks pay for what the damage that they had done to homeowners in California. And they offered a pittance. And she said, no, that's not enough. And she played hardball and went out to all the attorney generals in this country. In fact, she worked with Beau Biden in Delaware, and Delaware was not hit as hard as California was in the foreclosure crisis, but yet she was able to get all the attorney generals in this country to join her in standing up to the big banks to bring billions of dollars of relief to California homeowners. That's who our vice president is. Now, Schumer understands what Bernie is saying, what we are saying, what I am saying, what you are saying, what America is saying. I'm not clear that he understands the games that get played by Mitch McConnell.
When President Obama was first elected and there was a number of there were a number of big legislative lifts on the table, I feel like as an observer of that process, as somebody reporting on that process, I learned a lesson.
Yes.
I watched with Obamacare, With the Affordable Care Act, the Republicans insisted that there not be any single-payer option, there not be a public option, had to be based around the private insurance companies, and they insisted on all these changes that were made for them, and then they didn't vote for it anyway.
Right.
And on the immigration bill, they insisted that their priority, deportations, all that be done up front. President Obama did all that up front, and then they still didn't vote for it. We saw it on the Recovery Act as well. They insisted that the Recovery Act be made smaller and significantly less effective, and then they didn't vote for it anyway.
10 years it took to get, because it wasn't deep enough and strong enough. 10 years. We're not going to make that mistake with COVID.
But isn't the lesson there that it's not worth trying to get bipartisan legislation because it will weaken it and make it worse, and they're never going to vote for it anyway?
Our North Star has to be the legislation itself. It has to be big and bold and strong. If Republicans work with us to get good, strong legislation, yes. But I agree with you. I've made these arguments in numerous places. Look at 2008, where we spent a year and a half trying to get something good done, ACA, Obamacare, and we didn't do all the other things that had to be done. We will not repeat that mistake. We will not repeat that mistake. You are right. I think of just what you think all along. And it's a different time. I mean, we've had the most authoritarian president around. Look how close he came on that awful day, January 6th. And the antidote is constructive, strong action by us, by the government. That's the answer, so that when the appeals to bigotry and nastiness and divisiveness are thrown at the American people again, which Trump did, and there are many of his minions who want to do it, people will say, no, we're making good progress. Let's stick with this. But if we don't make progress, bad, bad, bad. We can have really bad solutions, really bad outcomes, rather.
You know, I hope that that is now imprinted in his permanent Rolodex. I hope that lesson is truly, truly learned. I hope that that is on his mind and his heart and at the end of his pen, that you cannot compromise with Republicans, that when Republicans are in power, they only exist to redistribute the wealth to their donors, to their corporate benefactors, to corporate America. Okay, they're corporatists. They believe that corporations are people, my friend. Okay, they believe money is free speech. They believe if they lose a book deal because they lied, told a very big lie that caused a bloody coup, an insurgency to develop in this country, a lie that was told for years, about elections being rigged in this country just in case he lost in 2016, and then repeated that big lie when he did lose in 2020, causing this desire to overthrow the government. I hope that the Democrats have learned that the Republicans, when they're in power, do these things because they believe it helps them win elections. And that when they're out of power, they obstruct things because they think that any win by any Democrat will make them lose elections. I hope the Democrats understand that everything that happens inside the Republican Party is about winning elections, not about winning hearts and minds, not about solving our problems, not about fixing injustice, not about fixing inequality. Every time they're in charge, inequality grows. Every time they're in charge, racism just rears its ugly little head. Every time they're in charge, there are terrorists in this country that want to destroy it. Hey everybody, this is a clip from the latest episode of the Randi Rhodes Show. If you want the full episode, you can watch live on Free Speech TV, Dish Channel 9415, DirecTV 348, Sling, Roku, and Apple TV.